Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things dirty through a common sense lens. And well, ladies and gentlemen, Marvel has had a really bad rash, and honestly, Disney overall as a whole has had a really bad rash of the last few years of doing reshoots at the last minute, and it generally hasn't worked out very well for them, considering the fact that Disney produces a lot of very highly CGI-intensive movies, whether it be Marvel or some of their quote-unquote live-action remakes. Needless to say, CGI is a very intensive and labor task, and when you see a movie out there that's doing a lot of reshoots at the last minute, it certainly makes you concerned for the quality of the film, and also shows you that maybe they exactly haven't gotten the entire story figured out just yet. This was something that obviously happened, we know, a lot with Captain Black America out there, the America Brave New World movie, which of course ended up turning into a disastrous dumpster fire at the box office, and even insiders over there at Marvel said at best it was okay by the time they were done with this. This was after an entire summer of reshoots for this movie. Well, boys and girls, Marvel's next big blockbuster, quote unquote, at the box office coming out in July is none other than Fantastic Four: First Steps. And after some leaked set photos, boys and girls, it turns out that this movie is going down the exact same path that has ruined so many other Disney products and especially Marvel over the last few years, because Fantastic Four: First Steps is undergoing reshoots nearly 2 months before release. A warning sign of trouble for the film that was supposed to save the MCU. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen, and most of us really weren't expecting that very much whatsoever, especially when we heard about all of the rumors of a female Silver Surfer cast in this movie, which of course ended up being absolutely true, and these were rumors that we heard years ago. And then of course, with Pedro Pascal getting cast as Reed Richards of all people, one of the most overused actors in Hollywood currently, well, needless to say, a lot of fans were very, very cautious about this movie, and considering opening weekend box offices the way they have had been for Disney Marvel, the last thing you want out there is fans worried about any aspect of your movie before it comes out, because that's going to end up with you a first weekend box office that is going to look absolutely abysmal and be extremely hard to recover from. And considering we're still doing reshoots at this point, it sounds like Marvel doesn't have a whole lot of faith in this movie, or at least maybe not in one particular character that of course all of these reshoots surround. So we're going to check out this article from thatparkplace.com. We're also might jump over here a little bit to the Daily Mail, because they helped break this story as well, and they've got some wonderful fan reactions to this whole female Silver Surfer, and of course just the general look of the character as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we just crossed 1,800. We're inching our way closer and closer to 1,900, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, let us know what you think about all of this in the comment section down below. Are you one of those people that's actually excited for Fantastic Four? Or are you cautiously optimistic? Do you think it could be good? Do these reshoots cast doubt about how well the movie will end up being at the end of the day? Or are you one of those people that have believed all the rumors right from the beginning and have want absolutely nothing to do with what will probably end up being another disastrous dumpster fire for Marvel? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well, and think about becoming a member where you get your name at the end credits of every single one of these videos and at the end of all of our live streams. All right, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Marvin Montanero. Marvel's Fantastic Four: First Steps is entering dangerous territory with the late stage reshoots just months before it hits the big screen. With 2.5 months until its scheduled July 25th, 2025 release date, the highly publicized Marvel reboot is currently undergoing filming once again in Los Angeles. And for many, this echoes a familiar disaster for Marvel Studios and Disney. Like I said, they had this happen with Snow White. They had this happen with Captain America 4. They had this happen with with a lot of their movies, or a lot of their television shows they've had coming out. This is a consistent problem that we have been hearing from inside of Disney Marvel over and over again. I mean, we heard all kinds of horrible things about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness from the actress herself, who was flat out going like, this is ridiculous, this is crazy. Like, I literally stopped reading the dailies because by the time I got on set, all of the scripts would have changed by the time I even got there. Marvel is a mess. They don't have a vision for something properly from the beginning. They literally just run it by the seat of their pants, and it's causing them nothing but disaster. Whether you end up liking this movie or not, this kind of stuff is not a way you are going to end up being able to push a successful successful franchise going forward. So recent set photos revealed Julia Garner filming scenes as Shala Ball, the female Silver Surfer, who, mind you, only shows up in about 6 panels in all of the Disney or all of the Marvel comics, but that's a video for another day that you should absolutely go check out that we already did. We're checking out the true history behind the female Silver Surfer in the Marvel comics. Wearing a white cosmic patterned dress, sporting long blonde hair, notably absent any trace of her Silver Surfer form. No chrome skin, no board, no motion capture suit. Just a solemn figure standing out at the shoreline. This could mean that the studio is adding in a flashback scenes of the female Silver Surfer late in the game, which always causes editing messes and editing headaches. This is not a way to do it. Does it nobody over there at Disney Marvel have a vision for any of these movies from beginning to end anymore? I know they did some of this stuff early on in the MCU, but they had much better creative talent back then than they do now. They've ran a lot of those people off. Jon Favreau, anyone? I mean, seriously. It's a striking image because it might mean Marvel is still figuring out who or what this character even is. And considering the limited amount of source material to even pull from in the comics, of course they don't have any idea who this character is. For visual effects, heavy blockbuster films like Fantastic Four reshoots this closer are not typical, and they are extremely alarming. These films require months of CGI rendering, especially with characters like Galactus and cosmic heralds like Silver Surfer. Scenes filmed that now will go straight into the VFX pipeline under extreme time constraints, and we heard about these complaints from the Marvel and the Disney VFX artists. That's one of the reasons why they unionized. It's one of the reasons why they went on strike, because this is a consistent problem inside of Marvel and the whole company overall, doing this over and over again and treating their VFX artists like absolute garbage and putting them on insane deadlines, and then blame them when the CGI doesn't look good because you guys don't know how to have any direction or put your thoughts into a cognitive, cohesive vision that you can actually move forward with. You're constantly changing things back and forth in the middle of a production. This is why these products that's why these movies end up costing $300 million, $400 million, $600 million after everything is said and done, because you idiots have no plan and you have no path. And that's clearly obvious by this kind of stuff happening. Captain America Brave New World, we went over all of that. Infamously had a big problem with that, ended up failing miserably at the box office. It just wasn't a good thing at all in any way, shape, or form. Insiders have long hinted that first steps might end with the destruction of the team's timeline, potentially setting the stage for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. If true, Marvel will be pivoting hard to streamline multiversal elements after years of confusing storylines and declining audience interest. But what kind of pivot is dangerous when you already have this far down the production pipeline? It smells of a last-minute damage control, the same kind that doomed Brave New World. And this thing's been a mess from the beginning. They talk about the writing team shuffle, how many crazy different people out there have been involved in this. But let's jump over to what some of the fans think about all of this whole Silver Surfer debacle to begin with. And I hear this actress is a very lovely lady. She's very pretty. I hear she was wonderful in Ozark, and it's not her fault. The funniest part about this is, too, even when she was first initially approached for this role, she was like, isn't the Silver Surfer a dude? Yeah, because for 99.9% of his time in the comics, he actually was. You know what I mean? That's why everybody knows him. That's why a normie Marvel fan would know that Silver Surfer is a dude, which is why when you go pull this obscure reference from the comics and try to make it work for your diversity, inclusion, and equity requirements that Disney CEOs require, right? When you go and do that, then you're going to have the exact same reaction to the general audiences as you do from her. Why is Silver Surfer a chick? Silver Surfer's always been a dude. So it's literally one of those situations. And like I said, the fan reactions for all that, and here's some better pictures of her in this dress too. I still don't like the hairstyle that they went with for this at all. It looks even worse in the Silver Surfer CGI. Like it literally looks horrifying. It literally looks horrifying. Like that hair just really kind of crazy. Obviously, got some wonderful comics here showing off the original Silver Surfer. Another one of the full-scale views of the actual picture so you can see it. Another one here from the back as well. So we've got several extra set photos. This is even more than what we saw yesterday. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to go to the Daily Mail article over here. And I mean, the dress is really pretty. I like the design. You got a little tie-dye thing going here. But man, this hair is just weird. It's just weird. But like I said, a lot of the fans were super upset about this. Another flop for Disney. This is going to be a woke disaster. Totally unnecessary. Disney is still more about erasing than they are about good stories. First impressions aren't great if I'm honest. Silver Surfer is a dude. I'm sure the VFX is still being worked on, and hopefully it looks better when the film comes out. Like I said, it's not just people complaining about a female Silver Surfer, it's also the same. The VFX stuff actually worries about all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, not watching this anymore. Since when was Silver Surfer a woman? WTF. How can the special effects that brought Silver Surfer to life 18 years ago somehow look better than the MCU version now? How? And that was one of the things that I was complaining about too when I first looked at it. I mean, you saw that all over the internet. If you're on social media, you saw those comparisons left and right. We had a much better quality Silver Surfer and what's considered the downfall of the Fantastic Four movies back in the Fox era. And honestly, that first one was great, and I guarantee you it's probably going to be much more beloved by fans than this new Disney Marvel version because they don't know what they're doing. It's absolutely insane. Marvel Studios has been on shaking footing ever since Endgame, which each new project fans hope the next one will be the return to form. Hasn't been. I had a lot of hopes for Daredevil Born Again, and at best, it was okay. It needed to be great, and it wasn't. At best, it was okay. But Fantastic Four First Steps is looking more and more like Captain America Brave New World, a bloated, preachy, last-minute patch job with expensive stakes and rushed execution. This was supposed to be the MCU's rebirth. If these reshoots are any indication, it might instead be its latest casualty. And I absolutely agree on this. It was one of them situations where, like, Chris Gore was talking about this with some of the leaks back when they got rid of a bunch of the activist producers and all that kind of stuff inside of Disney and Marvel and Pixar and everywhere else inside of the company. I mean, we heard the reports from IGN essentially confirming that, where all the Pixar employees were complaining that they got fired because Disney executives wouldn't let them put a bunch of gay stuff inside of Inside Out too. So we know all of this stuff is true, right? And so it's one of them situations where, like, this has been the problem with all of that kind of stuff. They hired all of these activists. They ran off all of their good quality people that had visions and didn't want to put up with all of the identity politics nonsense. And now they've got this. And the fans aren't going to be happy with it. The excitement is not out there going great. I mean, I don't know if it's going to do, I don't think it's going to do as bad as Thunderbolts or Captain America Brave New World. But at the end of the day, this means Disney Marvel doesn't have any confidence in the movie. They're doing reshoots 2 months prior to it, identical to Captain America Brave New World. We heard that back in November and December, and that movie was supposed to come out, and that movie came out in February, right? It's the exact same thing with this. You know, we can complain about all the identity politics stuff, and I mean, at the end of the day, I think that truly is the root to most of this evil. But even if that was the case, even if you were a good, competent writer, you could still do something with that and make it enjoyable and have a vision from the beginning and have that vision executed and not have a bunch of Disney executives freaking out because they think your vision is garbage and trash. If that's the case, Disney executives, that's your fault because you're hiring producers and writers and directors that can't do their jobs. I mean, I think that's been pretty obvious since Taika Waititi and his last abomination of a Thor movie that he put out. I mean, it's just been one disastrous dumpster fire after another. You hire some directors and then put a giant leash on them and do everything by committee and then won't let them give a true vision for a movie out there. And then the rest of the time you hire these absolute imbeciles out there with no credentials whatsoever. And then it turns into nothing but a disastrous dumpster fire until there is a full-blown house cleaning of executives over there at Marvel and all new fresh faces are hired. I don't think this is going to get any better. There are certain people in certain places now with, like, Daredevil Born Again that I think might actually be able to do a good job now that they will be able to get work with all of their own material and have to be lambasted by old nonsense garbage from former activist Disney Marvel. But at this point, it's not going to happen. Fantastic Four might be okay at best. But okay doesn't make you $1 billion box office. It doesn't make you money when you have a $300, $400 million budget, which is obviously what this is going to end up working out to, if they're literally doing reshoots 2 months before the movie's supposed to come out. This is absolute insanity. It shows you that Disney Marvel has no faith in this movie whatsoever, and they already know it's going to be a disastrous dumpster fire at the box office. The only thing we have to wait and see now is how bad is it going to actually be? And at the end of the day, Kevin Feige, you succumb to the activists of the cult, and now you have lost your status as one of the greatest Hollywood studio executives in history. And now, at best, you may be remembered as the guy who stood over the grave as you had to bury your Marvel franchise, all because you got in bed with the devil. After all, you dance with the devil, you're bound to get burned. And Kevin Feige, Fantastic Four is going to be your next major burn.